person who's looking to do like real thin work, get some nice curves, but it's only like medium sizes, right? These are actually pretty good. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Is It Worth It, where I go around the world and the internet looking for art supplies that will make your job just a little bit easier or to make you enjoy the craft just this much more. And today I am continuing the search for an inking utensil that I actually like, because if you've watched the previous videos, you will realize that I just do not like inking. So if I can find a utensil that'll make my enjoyment for that just a little bit easier, it will be absolutely fantastic. And we are going to continue with the color brush from Pentel, because this is kind of like the other one, which is, I didn't necessarily think it was that awesome, but this one has pigment ink instead of a water-based ink. So I'm interested to see how this is going to work in place of the water-based ink. And yeah, who knows, maybe this one will be it. There's only one way to find out. Come on, let's go check it out. All right, so as you can see, same as always, chipboard with a little clear plastic. This one's a little bubbled up, but you know, just clear plastic, nothing special. Same thing, remove the cap, remove the ring, and then squeeze the counter, you know, squeeze the ink in, just like in the last episode. We're just gonna go ahead and crack this one open. So it's pretty much the exact same feel. It feels real plasticky. It's not something I like. It does have these ridges, right, which I'm assuming is for texture to hold it grip. You know, you can grip it better. The brush, you know, the fibers of this brush, this nylon brush, look great, just like the other one did. It looks absolutely fantastic. The cap snaps on real nice, right? So that's good. Believe that it will also post in the back. Perfect, right? So we're not gonna waste any time. We're just gonna open the book up. Open the book. All right. Open that up, and then just over just a little bit, do what it says. Oops, which way do we got to turn it? Go. All right, and we remove the ring. Just right down. Flip it over. Take the cap off. And we squeeze to let the ink. See, it comes down pretty nice. Oh, there it is. It's filling in. Good, good, good. Come in, fill the entire brush. Oh, this one actually clearly. So this one actually let the ink come straight out, which was interesting. Like the other one didn't do that. All right. Anyway, that's not the pen's fault. That was my fault for actually allowing it to overflow. But we now have the ink. Yeah. See, this brush, I don't know why, but it's if you go really slow, right? So if you go nice and slow with it, the ink flows just fine, right? And you can have these little hairline. This is the testament to that brush, right? The fibers on that brush allowing you to get really tiny lines, right? And then going from thin to thick and then back out. So if you are trying to go nice and slow, right? So if you're doing, I mean, it's just the exact same thing. It's like, as it is, nice and slow, then you'll get some nice textures to it, right? You can do nice big strokes, right? But as you can see right there, right, the ink doesn't always flow all the way through. Do it a little bit more. Like, I know that there's a lot of people who use this brush, right? But I have used other brush pens that they don't fall apart towards the end, right? There's no random breaking up towards the end or in the middle, right? And I'm gonna check the other page. So this ink, though, so if you're looking for a darker ink, this ink does really well. Look at that, right? But it's, once again, it's not a fast brush, right? You can't necessarily do really fast things. And I think that there's a strong enough learning curve to where you might actually have, you're going to have to practice just a little bit to try and get it to do exactly what you want. But the brush itself, right? The nylon fibers of the brush, very nice. They give you these nice thin lines and then these nice thick lines. It's really nice, right? That you can control that. But as far as coverage goes, it just keep, if you're going fast enough, it just completely breaks apart. Put some more ink in here. Right, it just keeps breaking apart. And that's the thing, right? I want to be able to use my brush in big strokes and I don't have to worry about going over it again and again and again. And these Pentel brushes, at least these brushes, the color brush, seems to have that same issue, right? From pen to pen. And while this ink, like if you're looking for a darker ink, a more opaque ink, this is it, right? Get the pigment one, not the water-based one, get the pigment one. But as far as just being able to control it and not have to worry about it all flaking apart towards the end like that, you're definitely gonna have to slow down, right? Like you gotta go really, really slow. And so once again, if you're trying to do nice little detail work, right, you can get medium lines at a decent amount of speed and it doesn't fall apart, right? But if you're trying to go like from thick to thin all the time, it tends to break apart. But the slower you go, right, the better this is. So it's not a pen for speed, right? But that brush, though, there's so much versatility in this brush, right? So there are some really strong points to the brush. But for me, the fact that it, if you go a little bit faster and just completely breaks apart and the ink can't get to the brush, I'm not a big fan of that. Especially since I have dealt with other brush pens and they don't do that. Like I can do nice, a decent speed and the ink not just fade apart, right? But like I said, if you're a person who's looking to do like real thin work, get some nice curves, but it's only like medium sizes, right? These are actually pretty good. But if you're trying to do big ones, or if you're trying to do sketching, this isn't it, right? These aren't it because the ink doesn't flow fast enough. But I wonder about how it holds up, right? We're gonna just use a blue and a yellow, and we're just gonna go over one of these real quick, see how it holds up. Because normally, yellow and this kind of blue will always pull up the ink. Let's see. They're definitely staying on there, right? There's no pull from the ink, so it's set really fast. It keeps its shape, keeps the darkness of it. I mean, there is a little bit, but that might also, no, it does pull just a little bit, but I mean, it doesn't pull away from the actual line. So it holds up with markers really nice, so that's good. With the smaller one though, you can see where it starts pulling off some of the ink. So once again, if you're trying to do speed work, these are probably not it, but you should be able to get, nope, I was wrong. It pulls it right out. So you got to be careful with these. If you're just trying to do inks, then that'll be fine. But if you're trying to use markers, it does pull up the ink and make it dark. You know, if you guys can see that, right? So, you know, it's just something to definitely be concerned about, what you're going to use the utensil for. Like I said, if you're trying to do slow marks, detailed work, and small to medium sized brush strokes, then this is actually really good, right? It's actually a really good pen. But if you're trying to do longer strokes, it does tend to fade apart within the stroke, right? So it's just something you got to keep in mind. All right, so we just got done reviewing the Pentel color brush with pigment ink, and it has the same issues as the one with water-based ink. They're pretty much the same. Has great nylon fibers for the brush, which makes it amazing. Has some great versatility in it if you're trying to do smaller to medium-sized marks, because the longer you go, the less ink that it can hold, and then it just breaks apart. And so, if you're, like I said before, if you're trying to do smaller, more detailed, slower work, this thing is great, right? And the pigment ink is definitely more opaque, and so this is definitely where I would recommend people going if you're trying to do like inking or ink work. For me though, with just like the other time with the feel and it breaking apart like that, it's not necessarily worth it. They're not super expensive, so if you want to try it, these might actually be exactly what you're looking for. I'm still going to be on the quest because I need something that'll allow me to go a little bit faster and a little bit longer with my stroke without having to worry about it break apart, as well as be able to work with marker and not bleed out. But if you are just trying to do inking, right? If you are just trying to do inking, I would recommend checking this out because it does have a fantastic brush. Like the brush itself, absolutely fantastic. 100% would recommend it. So like I said, if you're just doing ink work, just black and white ink work, try one of these Pentel pens because they are great. What I'm looking for, they're not necessarily what I need, so it gets a not worth it for me. All right, well, that ends today's episode. I hope that you got something from it, some information that was helpful to you so that you can decide whether or not to pick up this particular inking utensil to see if it will help in your artistic endeavors. If you, for any reason, or have any type of recommendation for some type of material to check out, please drop a comment below and I will gladly add it to the list. If you are new to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe and hit that bell notification so that you can get notified every single time that I update the Is It Worth It series. Thank you guys so very much, and I will see you at the next episode.